thing though, and this is something where I think there's an argument to be made that when they were more secure, because the monopoly of truth is upstream of the monopoly of violence.
Yes.
Okay. And the best way of quick way is if you can tell people that it's true that Iraq has WMD, then you can bomb them. If you convince people it's true that this guy committed a crime, you can jail them. Right. So the monopoly of truth is actually upstream of the monopoly of violence. This is how, quote, our democracy is supposed to figure out what is true is these guys determine what's true. That's why they're so big on the current system, because they have root access to it. They can marionette this giant creature called the US government. And in fact, that's what impact journalism is, best visualized as a government truncheon impacting your head. Impact journalism is basically to quote, make a difference. And when you go and look at all these Pulitzers for impact and what have you, they hand them out for people who are, causing someone to go bankrupt, causing someone to get fired, the instantiation of some new law, making something basically that was previously discretionary, either mandatory or forbidden, right? So their impact is fundamentally harming somebody or mandating something or banning something. That is how they know they have lasting impact, right? Oh, our thing led to an investigation by this agency, or, this scandal caused, and the way to look at that, to see that that is actually true, not just to read the Pulitzer thing, what is the highest honor in modern corporate journalism?
The name escapes me. Is it Pulitzer? What is it?
Well, yeah, sure. Right. Okay, sure. Sorry. The Pulitzer is the award. What I mean is what is the consider the highest journalistic accomplishment ever? Watergate. What happened in Watergate?
Okay. Yeah.
A president got fired because a media corporation ran a bunch of stories on them. Okay. And what's funny is, remember the thing about projection, how these the New York Times company is owned by the rich white guy named Sulzberger, inherited from his father, and yet he attacks tech founders and everybody else as being rich and white,
Yeah.
So just like that, ridiculous level of projection and hypocrisy, how these guys get by on connections and they think everybody else did. One of the things they talk about endlessly is how horrible it would be if corporations ran America. It'd be corporate fascism if, our democracy, right? But there's an argument that corporations fired the president in 1973 with Nixon because their coverage, right, was sufficient to get him to resign, right? Basically, the thing about this is, 1974. I misremembered the year. So the thing about this was those. I at the time, NYT was still held by the Sulzbergers. I believe the Post was held by the Grahams. I actually don't know. I think the Wall Street Journal actually sold to the Murdochs later. I forget the family that owns the Journal. But basically, it's tightly controlled private interests were able to control enough of the population via printing stuff to get them mad at the president and get him fired. Now, you might say Nixon was a crook and so on. He denied that he was a crook, but let's just say he's a crook. Okay. Before I was born, before you were born. But here's the thing. Basically, Cook County waited till the other counties had sent back their numbers and then sent back a sufficient number of votes to be able to win, and thereby win Illinois and thereby win the presidency for Kennedy. So the thing is that once we think about this as a hub and spoke topology where something about Bitcoin and this person knows something about Japan, this person knows something about drug development, the issue is that central paper of record is a media corporation that is self-interested and distorting. They call it the mediator because it mediates our experience of reality. We know about one area, and the other N-1 areas, let's say there's 1,000 areas. We know about one. The other 999 areas all have to trust that hub and spoke. So everybody's distorted to everybody else. Russia, sees some vision of America, and America sees some vision of Russia, and everybody is through this noisy mirror whose incentive is to increase conflict. If it leads, it leads, right? To mislead everybody into fighting with each other, maybe not totally consciously, sometimes totally consciously, but just so happens the ratings are better if there's more conflict. You know, if it bleeds, it leads is literally a saying. And by the way, by printing images of conflict, you often cause more conflict. So there's like a feedback loop, right? What makes people fight